Yeah, thanks, Lynn. So actually, this history lesson is kind of interesting because, and I'm going to talk about two roadmaps that ATSC is interested in and concerned about. Thank you. So you'll notice that the DTV transition, that's easy to say, analog was shut off in 2009. And if you guys have all been paying attention, you're doing math in your head, you'll see that the beginning of ATSC 3.0 was less than 2 years after that. 2011, ATSC was thinking about ATSC 3.0. We only just turned off analog. So the point of that is that ATSC is the advance guard. If we think we're going to need something 10 years from now, we better start today. So we have a couple of roadmaps going on in ATSC right now. We have the roadmap that thinks about ATSC 4.x or whatever it's going to be. And we have the roadmap that says, okay, people want to do dynamic ad insertion, people want to do advanced emergency information. When exactly in the 3.0 transition are we going to roll that out? So we sort of have the 3.0 roadmap, which is more near term, and then we have the future roadmap, which is more long term. So my predecessor, Markwalter, gave me some of the best advice I've ever heard. He said to me, Madeline, you don't make any decisions. The membership makes decisions. What you do is you set up forums or fora for the membership to have those discussions and come to consensus and figure out what they want to do as a group. So that's what we're doing. I get to stand back and let the group sort it out. So a little bit about the roadmap. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Korea, and thank you for all the great coffee. We'll try to end at 4:35, which is, I think it is. Korea had a mandatory transition to ATSC 3.0. They started in 2017 because they said, by God, we're going to get 4K on the air in time for the February Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang in 2018. And when Korea puts their mind to do something, they do it. So here is their roadmap of the deployment. So we have 60 markets that we're thinking about right now. They started with Seoul, and then they went to the largest cities plus Pyeongchang, and then over time they're going to have filling in the rest of the country. And what you'll see there is this timeline ends at 2027 because they have already planned their shutoff of ATSC 1.0. Now, Korea is a little bit lucky in the sense that everybody got another band of spectrum to play with. They're doing happy simulcast and 4K. They have plenty of room to do that. But not only is ATSC 1.0 going to be shut off in 2027, HD content is gone. Everything is 4K as of 2027, done. So that's the Korean deployment roadmap. In addition to how are we going to roll this thing out in terms of launching, they thought about how are we going to have our feature roadmap. What's that going to look like? And this is what we want to think about here in the US. So you asked earlier, what is the killer app? The killer app in Korea, 4K. Piece of cake, done. That's all we got to worry about. We're going to do 4K, and that's going to be priority 1A. Priority 1B, however, was the portal, which is getting into the interactive stuff that you heard about earlier. And this portal is the marriage of OTA and OTT, essentially connecting your OTA linear programming with your OTT VOD programming. This is a commercially launched service. It is a collaboration between the three major broadcasters in Korea, another thing that was talked about before, in order to get it together and have a common look and feel across all the broadcast. And this was very cool. It was launched during the Olympics, so you could go back and watch your favorite skater who you missed or whatever you wanted to do. So this was priority 1B, straight ahead. They have a roadmap. They're thinking, okay, phase 1, 4K and interactive. Phase 2, mobile and advanced emergency messaging. We heard an announcement this year. And now they have their real-world field tests, including service scenarios in 5G and 3.0 in this amazing convergence environment set up on Jeju Island. And if any of you haven't been to Jeju yet, it's very cool. Not only is the island cool, it's where people go for vacation, but you should see this facility. It's amazing. So RAPA, SK Telecom, LG U+, ETRI, KBS, SBS, NBC, which are the major broadcasters, are all getting together on this. And as I say, by 2027, they're going to shut off HD and 1.0. So that's their roadmap. What are we doing? So we're starting with our deployments and our launches. We had 8 experimental stations. As Lynn mentioned, some of these have fallen prey to the spectrum repack, so not all 8 are still on the air. You never know what's going to happen with a test license. So now we look to commercial licenses, and at NAB 2019, The 40 top markets were announced, and an additional 21 beyond those, which would theoretically cover 71% of the population by the end of 2020. Boy, you guys have your work cut out for you, huh? Yeah. But this is what we need to do. But we can't just get on the air. We have to do something good in order to make the consumers happy and excited about the new television that they just bought. So thinking about our feature roadmap, so we know that we want to have some services in 2020. We want consistent loudness and voice boost on the audio. These two things tested very, very well amongst consumers in the Phoenix model market. 4K and HD video, as well as immersive audio. So, excuse me, HDR video. I think that the initial video quality thing that we're going to do is 1080p HDR, because that's what we have bandwidth for when we have Spectrum Repack and channel sharing and simulcast. But I could see 4K coming for certain specific things, like a particular sporting event or something like that. It could be what you might call a stunt, where it is on the air and it's well publicized that you can see that on a particular program, and also immersive audio. So I think that's probably where we are with 2020. We might have some certain select interactivity, but we'll see. So TV service features in 2021 and beyond. This is the MBG estimate. Consistent loudness in MBG is Maddie's best guess. So this is not our members reaching consensus. This is me thinking to myself what's going to happen and looking at some straw men and such like. So what might we see in 2021 and beyond? We might see consistent loudness and voice boost on additional networks and other platforms. We might see more 4K content and HDR video, more immersive audio, and now we might be getting into yet more enriched content, advanced emergency information, multiple audio tracks. And we might be thinking about dynamic ad insertion, but again, thinking about that roadmap, do we know how to sell dynamic ads? Do we know how to traffic and schedule them? Do we know how to reconcile them and ultimately bill for them? We have work to do. Plus, we don't have enough TVs in the market to make it valuable, as we saw earlier, to advertisers. So when does dynamic ad insertion come? We'll see, but these are the ideas. So the other parallel track that we're working on at ATSC is continued pursuit of mobile, data casting, 5G convergence, international recognition, and all kinds of stuff like that. So that I don't have to do all the work, we have Planning Team 7, which is the Service Evolution Roadmap for the deployment of ATSC as we know, ATSC 3.0 as we know it today. In other words, A300 2019-2020. We have Planning Team 5 on automotive applications. Can this thing be used for automotive? How would we use it? Are there things the automotive industry needs that we haven't standardized? What do we need to do? And we have Planning Team 4 on future broadcast ecosystem technology. This is ATSC X.X. So the planning team will assess potential advantages and range of improvements that new technologies might provide. They're studying 8K, VVC. What's going to happen? How can we make these transitions, and when are they going to be valuable enough for us to make those transitions? So join the discussion. Get your voice heard. Come to ATSC, participate in these meetings. I think, as Lynn pointed out, one of the things that's really great about ATSC is it really is a unique cross-section of the stakeholders in our industry. And when a consensus comes out of an ATSC group, it's actually pretty special. So participation is key. And that's it. So that's what we're up to. Thank you.